So it's a
Hear
bit
it.
of a long question, so let me just paraphrase it. Basically, this person is saying that ever since they were little, they've always been chasing love and relationship for the sake of getting away from loneliness. And how do they stop chasing this?
Eh,
Something
so
quite common.
yeah,
Correct.
it's also a little bit tricky, because it's not something, if I'm just basing on my understanding of the question alone, it's not something that you can do alone. You can make a decision to stop, right? You can make the decision to stop, and then you just probably like, I don't want to look at people, or like cut it whole. But the main issue is that you're using this to fill up that loneliness. You're using it to address a different issue. And it's that issue that you would have to actually address to stop chasing love. And usually this is when you talk to someone, you go through a lot of self-reflection, or you come and see a counselor and they go through sessions with you as you all slowly explore where this loneliness is coming from, where is the root cause of it, what's causing you to feel this way. Like, if you're chasing it to fill up the loneliness, is it because you're afraid of being left behind? Is it because you feel you don't fit in? Do you feel like you're separated from the crowd? So many ways it can be interpreted, and that's basically what we are meant to do with you, to explore this. And then eventually, when you do find that source, that's when you get to stop, because then we would then move on. After finding out what your issue is, we can then talk about how to address it. And once you address that, then this particular coping mechanism you can put aside, because you don't need it. So, long answer for long question.
It's essentially what I picked out from this question is there is this awareness to begin with, that like this act of chasing love, you recognize that this is unhelpful, and hence you, yeah, so props to that. Recognizing that, hey, this is actually unhelpful, so maybe I should stop. And then you also looking into how do I stop it. Ultimately, to answer the question of how do I stop, it's that recognizing that loneliness is bringing this discomfort, and how do we learn to tolerate this discomfort? How do we make it bearable? How to, if it's scary, then how do you make it less scary? If you do reflect quite a bit, like, with this, fear or discomfort, you might have, like, up until this point, recognized that actually up until this point, I might have actually traveled in my life quite a bit alone. And you have been actually doing it already without recognizing it.
That pretty much covers the questions. This is like a good general answer because it runs deep, right? And that's something
Definitely.
that you can only discover in sessions. It's like the last part of the question, which is how do I stop chasing love? Maybe instead of that how, it's just like, why is it happening first?
Yeah.
Looking into that. Why is it happening? And then working on it from there. So yeah. Okay. Moving on. Okay. So this person is asking, if you've liked something for a really long time, is it possible to put it down and look forward? Probably something to do with like moving on from something that probably gave you a sense of very strong feeling. You've made some attachment thing that you've liked. It's quite a vague question.
For like your interpretation, I agree. It could be like something that you've liked for a very long time. Another thing would probably be like it's a very old habit.
It's good too.
That you also don't mind doing, you're doing, but then you kind of realize that, I shouldn't be doing this anymore. It's time to move on. I've moved into a new phase of my life. Or perhaps it's something that you've liked for so long, and but now that you find that perhaps it's not suitable for you, and you need to put it down and look forward to different things and newer things. The consciousness that comes with that is great, actually. Like, again,
Yeah.
like to the previous question as well, like kudos to you. There's a very strong sense of self-awareness that goes into like realizing when something is not working.
Yeah.
And you're looking for help with that. So yeah, so to yes, you can. I would say you could. The first thing that comes to mind is to actually make the commitment to actually put it down. That's like the first thing, because before you can open your mouth, before you can take action, before you can do anything, you have to have that very firm commitment to see through that decision. And when I say see through that decision, I don't mean just the act of putting it down. Because once you put that down, life goes on. And you are going to continue your life without that thing or that person or whatever it is. And when that is not there, you're going to find that your life changes either a lot or a little bit, because where that thing took up space is now a big empty space for you to fill up again.
Yeah.
And that's where you gotta make the commitment to, like, yeah, I can still continue. I will still work through and go forward with this space. And eventually I will either learn new things and fill that up, or I will change the space to suit what's happening.
And I think it's so important, right, with that everything that you explained, that it comes from you, not someone else telling you that
Yeah.
you need to put this down and move on and things like that, because then it's just should, and you're
Yeah.
not going to commit. So if it comes naturally from you and you see why you maybe want to put this down and look forward, then that is probably the first thing to look at too.
Yeah. Understanding the why you want this for yourself in the first place.
Yeah. So the answer is yes, it is possible.
Yes,
It
you
has,
can.
yeah, it has layers to it, but it is possible.
Short, the very briefest answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
The next question is, will counseling actually help me? I saw a counselor in school once and I didn't have a good experience, so I'm not sure if I should try again. I think we've heard this quite a bit.
Quite a bit,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I'm sorry about that.
It's not easy to, this question came in because this person is obviously considering to try again, and it's a lot of courage to have that bad experience, but
Yes.
then still think about maybe it could be different. Like that hope is still there.
It's
Yeah.
very brave, actually, to
Yeah.
step forward. The first step already, and right? There's the say once burned, twice shy, normally used in relationships, but really works for everything.
Yes.
Which is that after you've been hurt once, it's very difficult to do it again. So much respect for the poster who is maybe contemplating. At least you're keeping an open mind. So much respect to you. And I hate to say this, but sometimes sometimes the approaches of certain counselors may not fit the client that they see. One of the things is like to find a counselor who can actually really click with you. So if you are open to it, yes, I would encourage you to try again, especially if you feel that you do need that support or you do need that help.
With this whole idea, there is still something that probably this person is contemplating. So, like, yeah, thank you for not giving up on counseling just yet. But yeah, it does take that, finding the right fit and everything. So, in short, just see if they pass the vibe check. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So proud I used the Gen Z term.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
Yeah.
It's a very real thing. And also
Yeah.
maybe like if you do decide to come back for counseling, you can always communicate with us. What about your previous experience just didn't
Yeah.
feel right? Is it something your previous counselor said or did that, and then maybe we can like have some input on that of whether, it's like anything about our approach is like different to that, and that could be reassuring to you in certain ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's covered pretty
Yes.
much.
Okay. I'm procrastinating so much on my assignments. What do I do? Very, something a lot of people can relate to. Procrastination.
Don't look at me.
Happens like
Happens.
literally
It's just
to
part of life.
anyone at any stage in life.
But ultimately, why we do that, understanding why we do that is important. It's because it can come from a place of anxiety, or the task itself is so uncomfortable, causing you a lot of discomfort, and just all of that. Ultimately, it's avoidance to all of that thing that is causing discomfort. Yeah, breaking those tasks down into manageable chunks, it's so annoying, this task, but like I just want to get it out of the way, so I like just break it down to the smallest chunk and focus on, so that you can take this example of like if you hate taking the stairs, so you, instead of like focusing on like taking like this whole entire flight of stairs, if you're saying like I'm gonna take this one step, it's like one step, I can do it. So it's equivalent to that, breaking down your tasks into smallest manageable chunks, even if it means I'm just gonna do this for 5 minutes and that's it. And telling yourself, hey, actually 5 minutes of this task is not too bad. I can do it.
Yeah.
I can trust myself to do it. Right?
So they
So
always say starting is like the hardest part.
yeah.
Yeah, and something so for me as a student, right? Something I feel that helps is like packing up my schedule.
Mhm.
So for example, like if I have like a whole empty day that I'm like, yeah, tomorrow I have this whole empty day to study this like specific something.
Mm.
When I wake up in the morning, there's this view of I have the whole day to do it, so I don't need to start now. And then that just leads to like the whole day just going by. Compared to if like I'm like, yeah, tomorrow I need to study this specific something, but I also have a lunch with a friend and I also have something else I'm doing in the evening. That pressure is a bit more to, yeah, I have this limited time frame to actually sit down and do it because the rest of the day is taken up. So
Hmm.
something about like having it so like, I'm dedicating this whole day to do this makes me procrastinate even more. Yeah, if anybody relates to that, maybe that's what you've been doing and it's you find like the whole day goes by and then you beat yourself at the end of the day because I had like 9 hours and I did nothing.
Yeah.
For me, it's like packing it up actually makes me like commit to it a bit more. So yeah.
That's a very good point.
That is actually true. That's actually true. I've noticed myself as well. It does happen to me as well, where it's kind of like, oh, I need to do certain things, but when I have nothing in the day, it's like, oh, I can do it later.
Yeah.
And then later becomes later, later, and then it's kind of like, wow, it's dark.
Yeah.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah. Despite all of that is avoidance. So and avoidance is just making you panic even more. It's making you anxious closer to the deadline. So ultimately, it's for you to just allowing yourself to get started. And yeah, by saying that I'm only gonna do this for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and telling yourself I can tolerate discomfort for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and see once you have that momentum, see if it continues, or if it doesn't, it's fine also. And telling yourself like, okay, let's start again, kind of thing. Important thing is also rewarding yourself after you actually do it. Planning a reward right after doing that can actually encourage you into doing it even more. Reward can be anything, it doesn't have to involve spending, right? It can be just like watching something like a favorite clip of your favorite show or things like that. And of course, yes, you can easily spiral into not one but many episodes.
So pick a reward that won't you know yourself.
Yes.
You know yourself.
You can decide when you want to reward yourself. Like just because your friend rewards themselves after like a whole assignment being done, it doesn't need to be that way for you. Really, it can be like after just writing a paragraph. Maybe that takes more effort. Relating back to our topic on the last podcast, which is everybody just goes through it differently.
Yeah.
So you get to decide when that reward comes in, something that works for you. Because
Yeah.
if you go to just follow what someone else is doing, then the reward just isn't going to feel rewarding
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, it's just knowing yourself,
Yeah.
knowing what works for you. How many questions do we have left?
We have one.
Oh,
that
down
was-
to the last one.
Right,
Let's
let's
do it.
go.
Okay, the last question. I hate what I'm studying, but my parents forced me to study this. What should I do?
Wow, this sounds
Moment of silence.
for every
Yeah.
student.
So it's about what is feasible. Is it feasible for you to switch courses? Then you can explore your area of interest. Then if it's not feasible because your parents are paying and things like that, so that's where it comes into how are you going to make it through this journey? How are you going to make it bearable? And those specifics can be discussed with we do provide career consultation. And even if you're not sure, you just know what you don't want but you don't know what you actually want, that is where we can also explore your interests, what is probably best suited for you. And also in that we would also discuss how you can actually bring this up with your parents, how you can communicate this with these parents if one of your concerns is that.
There have been cases where they're like, I've spoken to my parents, but they are absolutely adamant that I do have to do this for any number of reasons. I think in that case, what you can do is, because you know already, this is like a no-brainer, right? You can't change your course. You have to stick with it because that's like the law that's been laid down for you. What you can do to make it bearable is pretty much what can you do outside of the course. If you have a hobby or like maybe something you wanted to pursue in lieu of this course that you can't now, you could take it up as a side project, or you can work towards it. So if it's something that maybe you want to do in the future, what you can do now is use this time to actually just practice or gain the skills that you need. So like take short courses first, and eventually later when you're working, you have that experience, and then you can kind of expand on it later. A lot of it goes into planning, just basically like what do you want to do in future. If you don't know what you want to do, but you don't want to do this, then ideally you do this first while you take the chance to explore until you eventually find what you do want to do.
I think we are also, it's just not uncommon anymore that, like, if you study one thing and you end up in a completely different career pathway, that is very common, and it's okay that it happens. You got this.
Yeah,
You got it.
you got this. All the best.
So
Okay.
Yes, we're done.
we're done.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we've reached the end of the episode. We reached the end of the podcast series for Mental Health Month. For those of you who have been here since the beginning, thank you very much. For those of you who have just come in, thank you too. We're very happy to have you all here to watch. I hope if you have any other questions, please, by all means, you can leave a comment or you can write into us to ask. You can also make an appointment to come and see any one of us. Very happy always to have you all come in, even if it's just for one session to clear up anything that you need. So wishing you all the best of mental health.
Yes.
Hope that this has been informative and enjoyable for you.
Yeah, we hope you gained something, and remember that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness.
And what else? Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah.
Jokes aside, thank you for staying with us thus far, and I hope this has been helpful. Of course, like you said, do drop in your thoughts if you do have any.
And we're located at Block A, Level 2 Student Services Department. You can drop by and say hi.
Yes.
All right then. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.